you did that and walked for a week.
I'd be a mess.
Do you take the tram back down?
I'd say the tram down, it's the most amazing amenity anybody's ever had. To have a free ride down at the top of their hike, it's just been quiet summer.
Yeah, it's a town.
Yeah, both of my knees are, Tom Rosenberg replaced both of my knees, so there's no running.
Looks like it.
He runs down, gets to the house and makes lunch, so I shouldn't do that.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
There must be some race going on up here, because they put some flags out. It's a trail.
Is it the surf race?
It's on the, on the Michigan City Road. You go up the trail and
There she is.
Yes.
Is that a protest by remote because your team abandoned you? 100% of your teammates left?
Not at all. Hi.
Good, Dave. How you doing? Good to see you.
Jen asked me to give those.
I got no complaints, probably the biggest.
These ones? Yeah, perfect.
How are you?
Attendance is
Sent, like I forwarded it on to little people. And then. Brothers here? Yeah, okay.
I'd like to think.
Was that something?
Yeah.
She's took Chris all those jobs.
Like you normally.
Oh, Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's gonna be really good.
Yeah, I'm trying for letting her go. I'm sure we're gonna use it for being Jen's person, but good on you to recognize this in Molly's sister.
Yeah, and Molly will kiss you.
That's
That's
why,
why, Hi, I can. Oh, nice to meet you.
Yeah, haven't heard your name. So. well,
Nice to see you.
How are you?
Good to see you. Like none of them.
I think this is the most of us we've had at this table since I showed up.
I've been here before. I
thought there was one
We
of us.
haven't. We don't have there now.
We do not have a picture of all five of us here. We have a picture of some previous council of all of us here.
I just assume it's me, if it doesn't happen, that's the only change. You know, it's not just the responsibilities of being civic government. I feel a burden for being a fashion icon. Which I take very seriously.
Yeah,
actually,
changed,
you know,
I thought that was just a little too
I put
casual.
on sandals before I came in.
The three of us can compete for our,
His-
the most fashionable one.
Well, my t-shirt was paid for by the American taxpayer.
Ah, well, isn't
Now my
that?
fashion's picked out by you.
All right. All
Not ready,
right.
We're.
Ah, good. Okay, I'm waiting for the hour to show up here.
That's how Good, are you, John?
Okay, welcome to the Alta Town Council meeting of Wednesday, July 10th, 2024. We have a good sized audience today, and I'm pleased to say that we have some pretty nice weather as well. So with that, I will call the meeting to order and ask for citizen input. And I know at least one citizen is going to stand up and say something about fire. Could you step up to the podium to do so, please?
Absolutely.
If you have to just introducing yourself.
Yes.
Sure. Good afternoon. My name is Dan Lason. I'm a firefighter with Unified Fire Authority. Work here in the canyon full-time, just down the road from you. We recently got an upgrade to some of the fire restrictions in the state. We're moving to a stage 1 out of stage 2 fire restriction. It's not going to mean a great deal to the town of Alta itself, but this will apply to the unincorporated land which surrounds everybody. So some of the big points from that, from the Department of Natural Resources, are that there's going to be a fire restriction. There's no fires allowed in any of the unincorporated areas, with the exception of improved campgrounds or picnic areas. Residential fires are still going to be allowed, provided that they're in a permanently constructed fire pit with a water source available and they're not left unattended. There's also a few other restrictions regarding smoking. Smoking is no longer allowed in areas of vegetation or outside of a home or a trailer or a vehicle. The common sense would apply to that. Same goes with grinding, welding, things of that nature in areas of vegetation. So as we see temperatures increase, as we go through the summer, the restriction may increase to a stage 2, which will be everything currently in stage 1, and then more, potentially no fires whatsoever. So that will come down from the state, but for the town itself, this shouldn't affect residents within the municipality.
Well, in a sense, it does, because it better protects us from fires started elsewhere.
Correct.
And so we appreciate you doing that. Now, as you well know, we're at the end of a box canyon here where we feel somewhat vulnerable, maybe.
Absolutely.
Well,
There, can I speak
yes,
to that?
yes.
I just want to let you know, and I was trying to rack my brain if you guys did this. I think it was maybe when the fire danger got higher several years ago. But it is possible for the town to adopt an ordinance so that you match the same restrictions as what is happening in an unincorporated county. Obviously, you couldn't do that today because we didn't have it on the agenda. But if the danger increases or you're concerned, you could either have a special meeting to adopt it or wait till next month. And if it goes up to level 2, you could also, increase it to level 2 at that point. One other thing that I know comes up a lot also is because there's so much Forest Service land up here. My understanding is that the Forest Service hasn't adopted anything yet for the fire danger, but that's also something that, to watch out for. But it does add some continuity if your restrictions match what is going on outside of the town limits.
Take that under advisement. Okay? Okay. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Any other members of the public would like to speak? Oh,
Is this when I would go or am I on the?
no, you're not yet. You're not on yet.
You're on the agenda.
You're on the,
He gets a name.
yeah.
Barbara Burke, President. I just wanted to say that I am very pleased to have read in the consent agenda that we will have a new website soon, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So thank you for working on it.
You're welcome. Okay. A frequent commentator. Any other members of the public who would like to speak? All right, in that case, we are honored to have with us today the manager of the Snowbird ski area, Snowbird Ski and Summer Resort. Is that the name? What the hell is the name of your place?
Snowbird is fun.
So, welcome, Dave.
Well, thank you for having me here. My name is Dave Fields. I'm the President and General Manager of Snowbird. And we do have a slide to share that is getting pulled up right now. I thought it would be good to come up and speak to all of you about some of the things that are happening in regards to SR 210 in front and around Snowbird, because there have been a lot of changes in the last year. You'll have to excuse my homemade map here.
It works.
Quality is low, but hopefully the functionality is good. So just to orient you, down canyon is on your left, up canyon is on your right. And what I've done here is highlight some of the effective areas that have changed over the last year. The red zones on this map that are drawn on, not the lift lines, are areas that we no longer allow roadside parking. So this last winter, using our parking staff, we tried to enforce no parking in these areas. So that's the entire north side of SR 210 in front of Snowbird, as well as below entry 1 and above entry 4. UDOT is going to work on signage this summer. They're designing cantilever signs that will not get taken out in theory by snowplows. That's always been the challenge with signage in this canyon. So that will really help to have permanent signage. And then the green area is where we are between entry 1 and entry 4 on the south side of the highway. And we've been using that for decades, long before I came to Snowbird. And we are going to work with UDOT this summer to widen those shoulders in the green area. So there is a greater distance between the passing vehicles, the parked cars, and the pedestrians, giving more walking space. Last winter, we also experimented with taking snowcats up and down next adjacent to the green line where we park cars, and also experimented with creating little cat tracks down off the highway into the village. So people could ski down and hike back out with walking without walking along the roadway. We think that's a really good public safety endeavor. So we'll partner with UDOT this summer and widen and pave those areas on the south side between entry 1 and entry 4. The other thing that has already happened is the chip sealing of the bypass road. And they had some leftover, so we put it on entry 2 hill where buses get stuck a lot. And that is an effort to hopefully keep traffic moving better on the bypass road than it historically has in inclement weather conditions. The parking that you see circled in blue right there is called the Superior Lot. It is one of 2 areas at Snowbird that we have that we manage based on avalanche conditions. The other is the green area that we park along the side of the road with permission from UDOT. Both of those decisions are made in the morning before, or once we understand what's happened with the overnight snowfall, wind, avalanche conditions, and what the forecast looks like for the day. So we park there once we've communicated with the UDOT avalanche forecast team. They give the thumbs up for the green section. Our snow safety team makes the call on whether or not it's safe to park in the Superior lot. We have had historical incidents where avalanches came off Mount Superior into the Superior lot, and that is not good. It's full of cars and customers. It's a really bad situation. So those are two areas that really impact our ability to implement certain parking reservation systems that you've seen at Alta, as well as now Solitude and Bright. It represents about 200 parking spots in the green section and 200 parking spots in the blue section, out of a total of about 2,500 parking spots in total at Snowbird. So it's a big section or a big percentage of our parking areas. We've really looked at this hard. We've done parking reservations historically. During COVID, we were the first resort to implement parking reservations, and this complexity of not knowing until the morning of if they're going to be available really complicates our ability to do that. The Forest Service is okay if we have parking reservations or paid parking on the highway, because those green sections are in our permit area. But we're very concerned about having 400 spots that in two scenarios. One, you don't know until the morning of, you can put those out to availability and try to have them fill up in the morning. But I am convinced that if you do that, people will be circling around the highway, waiting for that information to find out if it's green light or red light on that parking, further compounding this increase in congestion we're seeing in the market. The other worst case scenario is you take a reservation for an area that UDOT or our snow safety team determines it's not safe to park, and you have to cancel 400 reservations for folks the morning of as they're driving to the canyon. So it's a much more complicated parking situation with Snowbird. And it also has some unintended consequences. We've seen what happens with Alta's parking reservation system with the influx of vehicles that come at 1 o'clock when there are no longer parking reservations required. Solitude and Brighton are seeing the same thing. In Big Cottonwood Canyon, you have a lot of people coming up, and from a business standpoint, it's good for business to be able to fill in empty parking spots that organically empty out as the day wears on. But when you combine that policy with a program that offers discounted skiing at the very end of the canyon at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I don't believe we've ever had more cars at the back of the canyon at the end of the day than we do. And I've had people with the ski lift company describe to me that the red snake is an existential crisis. And I have a few thoughts on that. I think if we were to adopt the same parking policies, we would have a lot more cars in the canyon at the end of the day trying to get out. And in my observations, what I see is, unlike what is a common theory that if it weren't for Snowbird's roadside parking, the canyon would empty perfectly. But what I see is when the road surface is slick, the canyon does not empty efficiently. When the canyon is dry, even if we're parked on the side of the road between entry 1 and 4, we can get all of our employees and guests out of the canyon efficiently. So those are my observations, and I think we need to be careful what we wish for, because right now, the early morning congestion is a headache for people for sure, but we're kind of splitting the arrival time. Most of our guests, we're typically now parked out on weekends between 8:15 and 8:30 in the morning. Our guests have stopped arriving for the most part. There's still some people searching, but we try to communicate through signage and social media that we're full, and we do that anticipatorily so people cannot enter the canyon. But if we have everybody arriving and departing at the same time, I think it will compound the congestion issues we're seeing right now. So we're a hybrid on parking. We have some reservations, we have some paid, we have a lot of free. We have, the majority of our parking is still first come, first served, but we do have other parking programs where people can't make a reservation. So those are some of the things we're working on right now for this summer to address these issues. The question came up in a conversation I had with the mayor yesterday about what about during Oktoberfest, and I don't know yet. We're not going to park the north side of the highway during Oktoberfest for sure, and I don't want to park below entry 1. But we may park above entry 4, but that hasn't been sorted out yet. And it also depends on the decent tower construction that's happening on Mount Superior. So we'll have to see what those closures look like, whether they go to a 7-day-a-week model on their construction, if the main line is open or not. So those are some of the things that we are working on. I do think a couple other relevant things, you know, we really were early adopters of rideshare vans, but we're going to have to go even deeper this year because Canyon Transportation, our main transportation provider, has gone out of business. So we're working with Alta Shuttle right now. We have an RFP out for a new partner. They not only transport our guests, but they transport our employees. Canyon Transportation was moving about 11 to 14 van loads of employees up and down every day. So we will probably have to lean heavier into the rideshare program. And what we started 2 years ago is we started hiring drivers to drive rideshare vans as shuttles going up and down the canyon. And so we were very successful in getting people out of their cars, but until we know the outcome of UTA's decision on 953 and what their vendor selection looks like, we're planning on continuing to fill in for the lost 953, as well as some loss in transportation around Canyon and then going out of business. So that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
I do.
Yeah, sure.
I think, Dave, thanks for coming up, and I think what I find really satisfying from a public safety standpoint is the green widening of the shoulder. With that combined with cat track, I think it's a really brilliant idea. I think it's gonna really add to safety when combined with no parking on the north. But I just think you're really adding a layer of, or a margin for safety in there, and I think that's
that was
great.
Jake Brown from UDOT's idea, and I think it was a really good. And it worked pretty well. It's not something we'll be able to implement on day 1 of the season because it gets a lot of snow.
Yeah.
But we'll continue to try to pile it up there and get ready for it. Keep experimenting.
And I was just gonna say that I know last year for Oktoberfest, you guys were parking on both sides of the road. So I think just not parking on the north side this summer will help. Like, and we had a lot of couple residents complain that maybe a fire truck couldn't get through us if we needed it. And I think just having that one side open will help
I do too.
a lot if something does need to come through.
And I've really been pushing on Jake to get those no parking signs up before August 10th and Oktoberfest starts.
Yeah, it seems like the parking on both sides from entry 4 around the bypass road loop has also been a problematic area to the, like past the firehouse on both sides of the road there. Or, you know what I mean, coming from 4 back up toward the helipad.
Yeah, both sides ends at the bridge. It's only on your left as you come up Canyon on the bypass. We don't park the right side. That's that steep bank that people ski down off Whodunit and the homes. We just park the inside of that bank.
Right, once you get past the
Once you
cliff,
get past the bridge,
yeah, once
then
you
we
get past the
have-
bridge.
one thing that we didn't do a very good job of managing was there was a little triangle that people started parking in right there by the bridge.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do a better job of that this year. We got a little creative.
No, I think that lot that's on the side of the bypass road there, on the north side of the bypass road as it comes up the hill, that doesn't seem very problematic, and you're not parking on the right-hand side. It's only through the little chode past the employee entry and the firehouse and all that, when it gets on both sides there, it's problematic.
Yeah, that does get tight, and hopefully the chip seal makes a difference to traction, because the big problem is when the cars get stuck. And that's when the bypass seizes and the main line's closed, that's when the real problem
Great days. Those are great days.
is.
I was curious, I take my daughter down to Discover for daycare every day. What's going on with the parking structure? I've noticed there was like a little activity happening over
Yeah,
there.
we're redoing the cement in there, that's
Okay.
brought,
Okay,
we're going in remodeling. We're also replacing the Wilbur chairlift. So that will be a fixed grip quad next year with a loading conveyor. And it will start down in the ballpark by the race building instead of its original starting location, but end at the same place that Wilbur always has. And we are in year one of a 2 summer big cat restaurant replacement business. So that's going really well. Those are the big projects we have.
Great.
Anything else?
Can I ask you a question? Do you know anything about the decision timeline on the 953 replacement?
Oh, the last I heard, it's out to bid.
Just out to bid.
Yeah, so they're going to use some kind of a private vendor to do some kind of van service to replace the northern route, which we think is critical. As a percentage, more of our employees, I guess, rode 953 than 994. They did manage to get a lot of people on 994, but I'd love to see 953 back, and they're working to that end. Okay, we don't have any more details here.
Yeah, that's what we were told by UTA a couple of months ago or so. What you just said is what they said. We'll see.
Yes, we will see. Anything else?
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I do have something else. I can't remember when you came to this meeting last, but I hope you'll do it again.
Well, based on the fact that I went to the wrong building. It's been a while. That was when the lights came on for me. I need to come more often. So thanks.
All right.
Nice to see you there.
All right, UDOT on the Superior Mountain Remote Avalanche Control Racks. And that, are you Steve?
Steven, yes.
Good, Stephen. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yes, I think I've met most people in here, but I'm Stephen Clark. I'm the Avalanche Program Manager. I gave a presentation on this similar project kind of back in January, February timeframe. So, maybe some of this will be review. If I can give somewhat of an update of the current status of everything. And yeah, I think before I start, thank you, Dave and Snowbird, really making this canyon operate better. It's really a big difference. And yeah, everybody else. So I think I showed this last time. High level overview. Goal of this project is to replace, continue to have UDOT move away from military artillery in the canyon. We're the only program in the North American Artillery Users Group that shoots over inhabited buildings. So we've really made a big effort in the past decade to minimize our use of that and minimize our overhead fire. And so this project, this is gonna replace well over 90% of the overhead fire in the canyon. Only 3 major buildings will have some overhead fire left, kind of acting as Snowbird area. So that's why we're doing this. This is a very much safety driven project, reducing overhead fire, eliminating all the fragmentation at a very popular backcountry skiing area in the canyon. So in order to do that, we're going to install 16 VISA towers. 14 of those will be in Mount Superior proper. 2 of those are going to be a switch to a leasing system from the Novolink system. that system has just become increasingly unreliable for in those particular locations, so we felt
What did you say has become unreliable?
the OBLX tower.
Oh, the OBLX, got it.
Slightly different.
Yeah, right.
Based, type of rack system. So that's what we're doing. So, construction began, we've been working really for the past year on the contracting, budgeting, prep for this project. Construction began on July 8th, I believe, Monday. So we're, anticipating project timeline to be into October, but we're certainly very hopeful that we'll finish early. Given the previous summer's experience with the same contractor working on this project, likely it'll be more in that 50 to 60 day time. That's if everything goes well. So in general, for this project, we've done more public outreach than any other project that you guys have in the conflicts, between and public notification, kind of prep and website building and signage. We really tried to cover all of our bases. Sierra and her team have been pretty instrumental in getting that underway. So, in the field, we've got over like 30 different signs kind of spread on key trailhead access locations and many more at other business operations. We've been meeting with various local businesses, Snowbird Lodging, Alta, ski area lodging, for trying to get a sense of what their critical summer events are, particularly weddings. We know that's a sensitive event for certain people. We're going to try and accommodate those with our Louis helicopter operations so much as we can. Trying not to make any hard promises, but we also recognize our impact to what's going on up here. The project is underway. Some small changes that have happened that you may see differently. There were supposed to be 2 helicopters for this project, smaller person transporting helicopter and a larger heavy lifting helicopter. That contractor bailed on the last minute for the smaller people transporting helicopter, which makes it much more difficult for the crews to get around. Having been up there, half a dozen times in the past month, I can tell you that it's a very miserable place to walk around in, especially off the main trail. So just navigating to these sites is slower. So unfortunately, that probably will be the project being slightly a bit longer. They're doing their best. They're gonna try and use some other tactics to maintain efficiency, but just know that a smaller helicopter may come in August, but it's not guaranteed. I think we all knew that Mount Superior is a very popular place. So because of that reason, we really had to kind of take this extra step in closing this construction area for the duration of the project. And we worked with the National Forest Service to create an area closure, and put out this closure messaging on all of our public information channels. And then the last day for this area to be open was July 7th, and this is the kind of what it looked like down on the main line. There was 43 cars on the road. It looked like Mount Everest up there. There were that many people. It was pretty impressive. I think that maybe put us on edge for, especially some of the social media comments and people saying that they're just going to go up there anyway. We're going to not listen to the picture. And we've only had one negative interaction so far, so people can be respectful. So this is kind of like the site prep, what they're at there. They've worked through a handful of the upper sites on high Mount Superior there. Again, as you can see, the terrain is just incredibly difficult to walk around and move on. But they're making good progress. They'll probably continue the site prep through this week and then begin drilling a handful of the sites kind of in like pods, I would say, in the next few days. So some of the other projects, unfortunately, these rack systems, they like to break. They're very maintenance intensive pieces of equipment. So one of our gas exploders down above Snowbird Village decided to just basically blow in half this winter. This is kind of an ongoing issue with a couple of vintage of gas exploders around the West Jackson Hole ski area. Had a couple of these blow up. Colorado Department of Transportation had similar issues. So luckily, this is kind of in our closure area. So we're going to try and do some other maybe more intensive rack maintenance while we have this closure in place. I think this is just something that we are going to have to continue to deal with more and more. You know, having one howitzer in one location is very easy to maintain and operate. You spread 50 of these pieces of infrastructure out across the mountainside, just gonna take more time and energy. And that's gonna mean more, probably some closures and helicopter time. At this point, I don't really know how to get around it. Yeah, that's all I have really for you guys. I'm happy to keep people updated as the project continues. You know, try to be as responsive as possible, as either email me personally or you can email the Sierra, the Cotton Kansas team. We'll try to get you whatever information you all need.
Steve, I had one question then on the north facing howitzer for Superior. So is it retired then fully this year once these go in, or are you still gonna do shooting some bullets with that?
Once this project is done, the period howitzer will no longer be in use.
Right, okay, that's what I
So
thought.
we'll still be using the bow howitzer that's over.
Yeah,
You know, for the foreseeable future. You know, kind of, I've got some general numbers from, we go to an annual artillery users meeting in Seattle every spring, and, you know, kind of as all these different programs can continue to minimize their use of artillery, given the kind of general amount of ammunition available. Seems like if you continued on with the current use patterns, you've got about 10 years left of ammunition for all the programs to use. You know, after that, there's an option for maybe building or manufacturing new ammunition for that weapon, but it, you know, 10x increases the cost of operating things. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now.
Do you expect these automated devices to help keep the main line open during storm periods?
That's a question that's been asked a lot. No,
It's our
I
hope.
think that, you know, we're certainly hopeful. You know, we've become recently impressed with the performance of these tools and the reliability. You know, that being said, we are definitely gonna still have to balance the, you know, the mitigation operations, the worker safety aspects of a given storm. So, you know, we're certainly not anticipating a drastic change in number of closures, hopefully a reduction in some of the duration of those closures, and trying to be more efficient. You know, I think as we build confidence with this system in this location, that may change. But that's about all I can say right now. Yeah, the howitzer is a very effective mitigation tool. So, you know, but the issue is, this being such a popular backcountry area and the fragmentation issues, we have had to sort of have that extra layer of conservative decision making. When that piece of terrain has, if we remotely think that someone may be out there, just so that part of it is getting eliminated. But that said, burying someone in an avalanche is just as bad as killing them in fragmentation. So you don't want to do that. So,
related question, do you think, so far with the systems you've put in, you've been managing for a while, do you feel they're as effective as the artillery? The reason I ask is it's a fixed location. If it's in the wrong spot by X number of things, or you felt it was optimal, you know, you're still stuck with it. Whereas artillery, you can sort of walk it around, which I'm a big fan of. I have to go on record saying.
yeah, you know, I think
The soldier speaks.
Yeah.
I think you do have some more flexibility with the artillery, given a different storm system, snowpack type. You can tweak things somewhat, but in no way, we're not able to do that like on the fly, you know, we're just gonna, all that stuff has to go through somewhat of a rigorous kind of trial and error process. But do I think that the VC towers are just as effective? Absolutely. I think we've worked with the Transportation Avalanche Research Pool to fund research on just how effective these different explosive types are. And we're overwhelmingly the VSIN shot itself, and given its hanging nature, it's much bigger race to it's got a much better ability to trigger avalanches in a bigger area. And that's why we're doing some, 14 is a lot for this piece of terrain. If you really were to kind of pick it apart and really go minimalist, you could probably reduce that number a bit, but you do need to have some overlay and some redundancy. So, no, I think we're very confident with how those our equipment has been performing and how there it's excellent terrain for that type of.
Thanks.
How often is the reload?
It depends on the winter, we were anticipating averaging based on kind of like our similar artillery shot numbers that we won't need to do a mid-season reload.
Oh,
Now,
really?
every time, we're not gonna shoot every tower, every closure mission, we don't shoot every tower, just like every artillery mission, we don't shoot every shot. But I think that's gonna take some trial and error and kind of, so there's gonna be a little bit of a learning curve in that piece of terrain. But right now, the numbers seem to work out. You know, if down the road, we feel like we're needed to restock a lot. Beeson is coming out with a bigger shot count exploder box, so we may be able to cycle those in and have a bit more shots per tower. But right now, we're just going with the 12 shots per tower. We feel like that should cover us for an average winter.
Which is another big advantage over the obelisk, I imagine as well.
Yeah, you'll get a little bit more shots with these, and then just the overall reliability. We just have had, given the terrain and where those OLs are, they just haven't been performing very well, which has caused this extended blaze, increased risk to the Snowbird Village and Helga Condos area.
If the Gazexes keep struggling, would you think about replacing them with Beesons?
Potentially, that gets into, that's a really common topic of discussion in the kind of like this remote avalanche control world. That's a significant investment. You know, it's pretty easy we're certainly spending quite a bit of money to maintain our existing equipment. We would like to see that through its overall lifespan. But yeah, I can foresee in the future trying to minimize some of those. We consider doing that with that Valor's exploder. You know, really with the 2 exploders there, you probably could cover that with 1 Beeson tower. But if you're spending, it's costs versus benefit there. So we're gonna try and maintain this existing equipment as much as we can.
What is the cost of a Beeson?
1 Beeson tower, the equipment itself is 120,000. We're paying with this installation, paying the most we've ever paid. It's probably approaching 180,000 per tower installation. It's quite expensive. That's really a primary, just because it's 100% helicopter access. We're not building any roads, no trails, really short construction window. You know, the helicopter down there has been getting calls every day from Cal Fire, telling them that they can come to California and make about 4 times as much money a day. So they're really doing us a solid by sticking with this contract and finishing this job before they disappear. It's wonderful.
I noticed that your house had a red,
Cross on the thing.
yeah.
I find it very comforting to hear overhead artillery.
Yeah. You're a different breed.
Well, the flight path is quite a bit different this year too. You know, even though they're staging from here, there's a lot less overflight of Alta than there was last year, for instance. Yes, because the work is
Yeah.
west of the town.
Yeah, been working out pretty well.
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Stephen, a little bit unrelated, but I was wondering, while we're all on the same, you talk about your use of radar in this area and whether or not that your plans are to continue it, and you know, if so, you know, what we could do is if there's also like that.
Yeah, so
Just repeat his question.
yeah, so he's asking.
Would you repeat the question so we get on the recorder?
Yes.
Okay.
So Mike Murray asked, you know, he asked about this avalanche detection radar that we have now installed. It's looking at Mount Superior. I don't know if this kind of came up the last time I met with this group, but we did install our radar avalanche detection system. It's located just kind of down below the powder helipad there, looking up at Mount Superior. And what that is doing, it's continually monitoring and sending alerts for any avalanche related activity. So the avalanche forecast team gets automated text alerts to look up, and what the benefit of the radar is, and it can really operate in any weather conditions. So heavy snowfall, wind, it's up there just constantly, continually monitoring. So the other additional, perk of this system, which is the radar company is sort of using this site as kind of a test location, is that it does track people. So it's just a technical movement. So every time a skier, every time someone walks around in that area, it can pick up that. So it kind of draws these like kind of spaghetti looking lines on the map of where like skiers or people are hiking. So that seems super promising. especially from our public safety standpoint, when we can do mitigation work. Having that extra layer of confidence when we have no visibility, to make sure that hasn't been any people in the area in the past 6 to 12 hours. So we're certainly hopeful that continue to operate that piece of equipment. It's again quite expensive. Just the radar itself is $200,000. We're just having it all low. We had like a 6-month trial. It was like $40,000. We're going to try again for a full winter this year, and see how that kind of works into our operations. Again, a lot of this equipment is really amazing at what it can detect and the information that it can give us, but how we kind of then incorporate that into our operations, we're still learning. That's why we're going to stick into this trial. So yeah, we're super happy with it so far, and we're interested to continue to see how that works.
Better than IR.
Yeah, the problem with the IR, the IR makes cool pictures, but it doesn't see through clouds.
Yeah,
That was, avalanches typically happening with snowing and cloud. So.
Well, we appreciate all the effort you're making, and we appreciate you prioritizing getting the canyon open and keeping the main line open, and
Indeed.
those are important things for us.
Yeah. Understood.
Thank you so much.
Who are you pointing at?
I just wanted to make a comment. I just wanted to say thank you very much for all the warnings about the noise disturbance and for the sensitivity for those of us who are greatly affected by it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, we're doing our best. We totally understand the impacts that is causing. So we're doing our best.
One follow-up is, I sent you an invitation this morning to come join the meeting up here of the mayors of the valley. Come give them some.
Yeah,
That's good. I hope you can do that.
That seems great. Yeah. I think I can make that.
They're, in some sense, their constituents are more affected than us, because it's the people that are coming from the valley that are going up there.
Sure. Yeah. After we had some meetings with Sandy City mayor, certainly listening to their concerns about the traffic and the impacts that what goes on up here. I'm very much aware that does not end in the canyon. Very much trickles out into the masses. So
Okay. Stephen, this has been wonderful.
great.
Any further discussion? Okay,
That is what, so your project is estimated maybe hopefully wrap up in August or September?
Hopefully, seems likely.
Yeah.
Seems likely that it'll be late.
Maybe we can have you back for an update at one of our, either our September meeting or October meeting.
Yeah, I think I can do that.
okay, thanks. Thank you. Is Mike Mon out there? It looks like it, yes. Okay,
Here,
Mike,
could
you're
you-
up.
Can you hear me?
Yes. And
Great.
indeed.
Well, good afternoon on this beautiful day in the Wasatch in the town of Alta. Hey, just to update a few things we've got going on. The summer road's open, the campground's open. Campground, we're having we had a little water leak issue with the system, so we haven't been able to have water available for campers yet. Hoping to have that resolved by the end of the week or early next week. So that is going on there. We've the Sugarloaf Patrol Building project is up and underway. So we've poured some cement up there. Some of the footings tomorrow morning they're working towards pouring foundation walls. Supposed to be off the mountain today. I think we have a race going on here this evening. We're started work on our High Traverse project. We have a little work on the High Traverse out towards the pass. That started this week. Next week, the next 2 weeks, we should see work start on the Upper Mambo Bowls, the terrain project up there. It's also tied in with some work on the Ballroom Traverse, the entry to Ballroom. That should be starting, happening then. Our project for installing 2 new conveyors at the Albion base, that probably, we won't see much happening there probably till sometime in August. We're still in the process of getting our final approvals from the Forest Service on that one, before we can proceed there. an update on our employment side of things. Scott Chamberlain, who's been operating Watson's Shelter as the manager of the Watson's Shelter, will not be returning next year. So we are actively looking for a new manager for the Watson's Shelter. So if anybody in the town of Alta knows anyone that's interested in that, they can go to alta.com and apply, or well, looking, I think it's posted on Indeed too. Other than that, summer's going along well for us, and we're already counting the days down till when it snows again, which is not too far away. So, any questions from the council for us? Anything you want to know?
Any update on the lift? On the Supreme situation?
Yeah, the chairs are, we've identified the pan, it's the aluminum sheeting that the chairs pads actually affixed to, that is cracked, is where it's cracked and coming off of the supports. We're replacing all of those, and everything else on the lift has been inspected, and it'll be fine for operational for this coming season. And we're just continuing to explore longer term alternatives with POMA on resolving this issue, which range from a lift alignment that's straight to an angle station in lieu of the bend to, it could be, they had us demo what they called their comfort chair, which they're willing to make some modifications to, which they think could work also. And so we're taking all that input, exploring those options and the costs and timing and all those things. And hopefully within the next month or so, we'll have a plan for going forward. For next season, I expect Supreme will operate as it is. It will just have all those chair pans will be replaced, and everything else should be fine on that lift for next winter.
Thank you. Next one.
Bet.
Well, sure, a lot of dirt going up Summer Road and dump trucks. Where's it all going?
There's some dirt that we have a couple little projects. That one was right by the Catherine's Trailhead. The edge of the road there has a really sharp berm, and it's one of the things that stopped us from having a connection from the top of Sunnyside down to the Alfs area early season. And so we have hauled some dirt up in there. That a lot of that came from the construction site there of the house that Zach Thompson's working on, and have detuned the edge of that road to make it so that we can groom that with minimal snowfall and not have it be the holdup to getting that path from the top of Sunnyside down to the Alfs area. The other part that we've been hauling dirt up to that we're trying to get done this week, before this weekend or the next weekend when it gets busier with people coming up to the basin for camping, is at the lower cat track, the end of the Sleepy Hollow, when you come down, and the cat track right before you make the bend back into the cabin area off of a Sleepy Hollow run after Grand Junction. The last part of that project was to detune that corner a little bit so it's not such a steep turn, and that's where there's some dirt being moved in there, and that project should be done within 2 weeks. So we'll stop hauling dirt up with big trucks. We're trying to get that done. We do have a project that we'll do in September that's similar to last September, where we'll be continuing snowmaking utilities from below the bend up to just past the bend up to campsite 9. But we're waiting again there, trying to get all of the things that happen in the basin kind of done as we get into this peak period of time when people are coming up and visiting the basin. The exception to that will be we will have that project going on throughout the summer at the top of Sugarloaf, and there will be, that contractor will have trucks going up and down, but we've made efforts to try to minimize that traffic if we can.
Any other questions of Mike? Oh, great. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Come again.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right. Questions regarding the departmental reports. One thing I would note, Mike Maury, is that the traffic citations or infractions are going up. You wanna come up and comment on that? Is that just a seasonal, normal seasonal event or?
The amount of traffic we see up here in the winter, large amount of cars, it's a little bit of a regulating force for us. If you're stuck behind a lot of cars, you tend to go slower. In the summers, things start getting a little more spread out. People start driving faster. We've taken notice of that. Our enforcement has, been a little bit more focused and directed on this. There was quite a bit of pedestrian activity real close to the white fog line this time of year. We're out walking their dogs, pushing their strollers, and that interface between speeding vehicles concerns us. So we're dropping the hammer on.
Good.
I've seen a lot more foot traffic, I think, than the last handful of summers on the road, runners in particular. But
Yeah. Any other questions concerning Mike's report?
I might just, since Mike Mon brought it up, there is a foot race this evening. Right here, just east of the snow pine, we'll have about a 10-minute traffic delay, and we'll have deputies out there as the runners cross the road, so.
how's the shift integration with sheriffs and
Yes.
So far, it's going really well. Most of the people that we're accustomed to seeing on a daily basis, opted to stay on with the sheriff's office. So we're excited for that, as the sheriff, has evolved their patrol function differently. I think it's gonna benefit this canyon. There's gonna be more people available for patrolling Mill Creek and Little Cottonwood Canyon on a day-to-day basis. And because we're not operating in the contract environment with UPD anymore, the sheriff's obligated to 24-hour coverage. So there is a graveyard canyon patrol shift now, which we've never had in the past. So it's awesome. I would say every day the deputies are coming out and checking in with our crew, and we're exchanging information. We've had some offline meetings with them about maybe merging some of our technology. I'm real encouraged about that. I think good things are gonna happen for us.
that is great news.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions or comments on departmental reports? Everybody's happy with them? Good. In that case, I think we want to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second move.
All right,
This includes.
say again.
Thank you, Molly. You beat me to it.
Minutes from.
Including, I will move that we approve the consent agenda, including the minutes that were submitted to us.
I
second that again.
Okay, I have one minor comment on the minutes, and then it said that last month's minutes indicated that I attended the Council of Governments, and it was actually the Council of Mayors. And so one word in this multiple pages that
I had one quick comment about it. I noticed that the ambiguity about where we stood at the end of the year, whether we were gonna actually have a transfer to the capital fund, whether we're gonna dip into the general fund. Seems like that got cleaned up and went away, and that we actually are gonna have a transfer from the general fund to the capital fund this year, and that we're not gonna dip into the general fund reserve. So I think that's great.
Do you want me to address that in what I think the issue is in more detail now, or I thought through it and I kind of feel like I actually have a good explanation of it.
explain.
So when I set up that projection piece, it's the inputs are based on the budgeted numbers. And what we haven't done at the town a lot is say, this is what we think the actual numbers are. I don't do like an actual budget projection. I do budget, you know what I mean? Like I do what we can go up to. I don't say, oh, we might actually fall short of that here, here, and here. We don't really do that. So I don't necessarily know that that's an exercise we want to get into, but that's where the problem lies, if that makes sense.
Makes sense to me. I think it's great that it got cleaned up and I was like sort of, it kind of caught me by surprise last month. And,
Yeah.
we're out there being into the reserve and we're actually gonna transfer 600 grand from the general fund to the CapEx fund. So I think that's terrific.
I don't exactly know what the number will be. You're usually really close. I'm always amazed that you do such a good job. I'll be working with Steve on that in the next couple, weeks, months here. But your number probably doesn't sound too far off to me.
Thanks for cleaning that up and, good luck with the audit. I think this is a stressful time of the year and hope you get through it okay.
Yeah, I feel good about it.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
The first one was the scariest, I think. And now, you they change things on you every year, but I feel pretty good about it in our bookkeepings.
Good, great. Okay, any other questions or comments? We have a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carolyn, aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yes.
hear who seconded that. I'm sorry.
I did.
Thank you, Dan.
I was very inspired.
All right, motion passes. That takes us to the mayor's report.
Me a minute to get everything.
Yeah, sure. I'll just say, okay, we're gonna have some graphics in the mayor's report.
Yeah, you're
Oh,
throwing some rocket science out.
I haven't seen this page before.
Oh, you made a slideshow.
It's a plot for
just
black
one.
one.
Well,
See that?
last month there was no mayor's report because it was such a crowded agenda. So, I mean, there was no astronomy report. So this month you get a double helping.
Oh, sweet.
So you may recall that we conducted a tabletop emergency preparedness exercise last year. And it was, we expect to do it again. We're not ready to do that yet, but it's a great way of pulling everybody who might be involved together and getting them to work together. Well, we're not the only ones who do that sort of thing. It turns out that the planetary defense community, which there is one of, actually held one of these scenarios pretty recently. And their scenario is this, that there has been a recently discovered asteroid that's been tracked for a while, and it's on a trajectory that in 14 years it may impact the Earth. In fact, there's a 72% chance it'll impact the Earth. And then you go from there is, what are we going to do about that? Well, one thing everybody thinks about is redirecting it, and there are other techniques that that might be employed too. So you might ask, is that really realistic? And the answer is yes. And in fact, we get hit all the time. We get hit continuously by material from the space at about a rate of 40 tons a day.
Oh,
Yeah, you wouldn't think that. But we call them shooting stars or meteors. And most of them are little fellows, pebbles down to things the size of sand. But now and then, something does reach the ground, but as one did in Siberia in 1910, I wasn't around to see that, you may be surprised. And some of them actually explode before they hit the ground. And there was one in Chelyabinsk, Russia, in 2013, and it looked like this. This is the benefit of ubiquitous. Can't get the word out.
Ubiquitous.
Yeah. Okay, so that asteroid was about 18 meters in diameter, so it's about the size of this building. And it was 12,000 tons. And it made quite an event there. Now, 11 days ago, there was an asteroid that passed somewhere between us. And we have some pictures of that. And these are multiple radar images of the same object that came by, as I say, halfway or so, to a little more than that, to the moon. And it was about 150 meters in diameter, so it makes it about the size of Mount Baldy. And had it impacted the Earth, it would have released energy, which is about 5 times greater than the largest thermonuclear weapon ever exploded in the atmosphere, which was 50 megatons.
Yeah. 49.
Yeah, by Russia. So it would have made quite a stir. So now we live in a world which has a lot of these around, actually, and the next graphic shows some of that. So to get you oriented here, in the middle is the sun. There's the orbit of the Earth. Inside that is the orbit of Venus, which is the kind of yellow one. And inside that, the orbit of, yeah, so yeah, that's okay. Go over to Mercury. Yeah, so there's the orbit of Mercury. And all that blue stuff is asteroids. So there are a lot out there, but it's a big solar system and it's a little Earth, and so they don't get hit very often. So this is I wouldn't lose any sleep over this. There are more imminent threats to lose sleep over if you're concerned about such things. You may recognize some of the names of the asteroids up here: Apophis, Eros, Vesta, so forth. There's one called Psyche, one called Anne Frank. And there's another asteroid that didn't make it onto this graphic, which is out between Mars and Jupiter, which is where most asteroids live. And its name is 8168 Roger Burke.
Hey. Nice.
And the lady who discovered it and named it described its orbit as moderately eccentric. So go figure. All right. Now, meanwhile, back on Earth, there's been some significant personnel changes in people in our orbit. Chris spoke to this. Molly has a new position within our team. Spontaneous applause, let the record show. Chris Otto left our office to take a senior management position in Salt Lake County as Director of Parks and Recreation. And the Forest Service District Ranger, just jurisdiction over our forests, that owns most of the land in Alta, Becky Hotsey, is leaving soon to become to take a higher position in Teton National Forest, based in Jackson. Not a bad place to live, particularly if you're provided housing, which she has. If there's a silver lining to this, both Chris and Becky have a very positive feeling for our little town. We'll be friends should we need them in the future. So there's an event from, I think, roughly 5 to 7 today, which I call the Bye Bye Becky event. At least Dave and I are going to attend. And we'll go down and wish her well. Next week, on July 18th, the mayors of the Salt Lake Valley will meet here in the town park as they did last year. And we hope to wow them with the wildflowers and need to pop up a little more next 10 days, which they have in the past. I expect they will in the future. And so I think this is an opportunity to emphasize the beauty of this place, although it more effectively speaks for itself. And it's important for keeping that way, that is, this beautiful place in that condition for the benefit of the region. So, and that's Stephen, the event I'd like you to come to too. Our next town council meeting will be Wednesday, August 14th at 4 p.m. Assuming we don't get hit by an asteroid before then. So with that, we'll move on to new business. Does anybody on the council have any new business to put in here?
I just wanted to thank the staff that set up the town park.
Oh, yes.
Week and a couple weeks that they've been working on it.
And when is the volleyball starting?
Oh, yeah, that started.
Has it already started?
That started weeks ago.
Weeks ago. All right.
Well, Sarah Higgins is our summer building maintenance person. She's been at the ticket office in the winter. She did some snowmobile and building maintenance for us this past winter as well. Say hi if you see her around in the town truck. She's been great.
Cool.
And thanks to the ski area, if Mike is still here, they always help us, using their equipment to assemble the awning and do some other stuff down there at the park.
Great. Any other new business? Okay, in that case, what I'm going to discuss is a possible action to commence a closed meeting, to discuss matters authorized by the Utah Code Section 52.4.205, 1D. All right, do we have to make a motion for this closed session?
So moved.
So moved.
Seconded.
All right.
And then we need roll. Yeah.
Do we need a
Correct.
roll call?
We do. I'm prepared to do that. Councilmember Byrne.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Councilmember Ansel.
Yes.
Mayor Burke.
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan.
Yes.
And Councilmember Schilling.
Yes.
Motion
Okay.
passes.
All right.
The room here is clear now, and we'll
I don't know.